It has been about a year since my daughter started living on her own as a university student. Despite receiving a considerable amount of money from me every month and working hard at her part-time job, she came back looking thin and frail. Aren't you overdoing it a bit? Are you eating properly? I asked her.
I'm eating properly. Bean soup and such.
She replied. And such? I prompted her to continue, but she fell silent. As if to confirm my uneasy feeling, she said,
Thank you for the $13 every month, Mom.
I couldn't believe my ears. $13? I send you $130 every month. My name is Nancy. I've been told all my life that I don't have good judgment when it comes to men. I had my first boyfriend when I was a university student. I dated a guy who was 2 years older, but less than 3 months into the relationship, I discovered he was cheating on me. Disillusioned with older men, I then dated a younger guy. But he eventually became something of a freeloader, perhaps because I paid for everything because I was older. I thought I had found the right one when I got married after 4 years of dating, but he turned out to have both a spending problem and a habit of cheating. After divorcing him, I've spent the past 10 years raising my daughter Emma as a single mother. The little, innocent girl I once knew had grown into a dependable daughter who took the initiative to do household chores. You don't have to push yourself so hard, I tell her, but she insists.
Mom, you're working so hard. If you overdo it, you'll collapse.
On the other hand, Emma never slacked off with her studies.
I want to work hard like you, Mom. I don't want to be a burden to you,
she said, and ever since she started high school, she had been studying for the entrance exams to a national university. Though she sometimes made mistakes, I thought she was an excellent daughter. After intense studying, Emma finally passed the entrance exam to a certain national university. When we went to see the results together, we found her exam number on the bulletin board and rejoiced together, holding hands. The time until her university enrollment flew by. I took some vacation days, and we went on a celebratory trip, which was really enjoyable. Soaking up to her shoulders in the warm water of the spa, Emma said,
Mom, it's so warm.
With rosy cheeks, and I felt a deep affection for her. I vowed to myself that no matter what happened, I would protect my daughter. With her university entrance, my daughter left our home. I saw her off with a mixture of pride in how well she had grown and a touch of sadness. After Emma started living on her own, it became our routine to talk on the phone before bed. Emma was already good at household chores and more responsible than most her age. I wasn't too worried about her day-to-day life, but the fact that she was a young woman living alone did leave me with some lingering concerns. Sometimes I wondered if I was being overprotective, but since Emma always seemed happy to talk every night, those post-work calls became a cherished part of my day. Emma shared many stories with me, about her university classes, the new friends she made, joining a music club with her friends, and even about a senior she was interested in. Her days seemed fulfilling and fun, which made me very happy. As the first semester was coming to an end, Emma nervously said,
Hey, Mom, I have something to tell you.
It turned out to be a happy announcement.
I recently got a boyfriend.
Her boyfriend was Jason, the senior she was a bit interested in from her club. I replied, That's great. Congratulations. But inwardly, I was a bit worried. After all, My daughter had inherited my supposed poor judgment in men. I was anxious about the possibility of her experiencing the same bad luck with men that I had. Sensing my concern, Emma asked,
Can I bring him over to introduce him to you?
I put on a cheerful tone and said, Of course. During the summer break, Emma came home and brought her boyfriend Jason with her. When I finally met him, Jason turned out to be a well-groomed and pleasant young man.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jason, and I'm dating your daughter.
He said clearly, bowing his head as soon as I greeted him at the door. He seemed like a responsible young man, and I felt a wave of relief, thinking my worries might have been unfounded. Jason didn't have dyed hair or piercings, but he had a sophisticated air about him. His beauty mark was rather charming. I remembered how I used to be attracted to such people when I was Emma's age, and it made me feel oddly nostalgic. Then, while having tea with him and Emma, I found Jason to be not only responsible but also very considerate. He would promptly offer to help, saying,
I'll take that.
When I was serving tea, and he would discreetly refill my cup when it was empty. Jason is quite a nice guy, I whispered to Emma when Jason left the room for a moment.
What do you mean, quite? Were you worried?
Emma replied with a slightly embarrassed smile. Of course. After all, he's the man my daughter likes.
Oh, come on, it's fine. I'm not like you, Mom.
She said, and we both laughed together. Soon, the second semester began. Emma determined not to burden me and spent her days working part-time jobs to cover her living expenses. I sent her money each month just in case, but she seemed to be saving it for the future. Emma appeared to be very reliable at her workplace, balancing both her studies and part-time jobs to the point that she rarely attended her club activities anymore. Are you okay? Don't overdo it, and use the money I send you. If you want, I can come over and help with the housework. I worried and asked. Emma replied weakly,
I'm fine. Since I stopped going to the club, Jason has been coming over often to check on me. You have your own things to worry about, Mom. I can manage on my own. I'm okay.
Really? If you say so.
Just the other day,
Emma said.
I came back from work and found that Jason had surprised me by making hamburgers. They were really delicious. I have Jason, so I'll be fine.
Her cheerful tone made it clear how much she liked Jason. Then she added,
I have an early class tomorrow, so I have to go.
And hung up the phone. Despite my lingering worries, I reassured myself that Emma had Jason to support her. Emma continued to call to update me, but as she got busier, the frequency of her calls gradually decreased. When we did talk, she was still busy with her part-time job and classes. However, I couldn't help but notice her living conditions weren't great. She mentioned that Jason made sure she ate properly when he came over. But on other days, she was mostly eating bean soup. She was clearly struggling. Despite the substantial money I sent her each month, she didn't seem to be the type to waste money. When I mentioned this to my mother, she dismissed my concerns, saying,
You're worrying too much about an independent daughter. You haven't let go yet.
Perhaps she was right. I might have been overly concerned. Emma would soon be 19. She was still a child to me, but in the eyes of the world, she was already an adult, Besides, Emma had the reliable Jason by her side. Maybe I needed to give her space unless she genuinely needed my help. I tried to calm my anxious heart. Winter break had arrived. When Emma came back home, she looked visibly thinner. She had always been slim, but her cheeks were sunken, and her waist was noticeably smaller at that time. Dark circles under her eyes suggested exhaustion. She explained that she had a late shift at work the night before and came home directly from there. "Aren't you overdoing it lately? Are you eating properly?" I asked.
I am eating properly. Bean soup and stuff.
She replied. "And stuff?" I prompted. Emma fell silent. Seeing my shocked expression, she tried to cover it up, saying,
But I've gotten really good at making bean soup.
Her earnestly smiling face seemed painfully forced. Could it be that she wasn't eating properly? Despite the fact that I sent her money every month and she worked hard at her job, why was this happening? I felt a sudden sense of unease. Emma's words seemed to confirm my suspicions.
Thank you for the $13 every month, Mom.
She said. $13? I've been sending $130 every month. I replied.
Huh?
Emma looked puzzled this time. A dreadful feeling began to swell in my chest. Emma, where do you keep your bank book and ATM card?
In the drawer of my desk at home.
Emma, I need you to let me into your house right now. There's something I need to check. Emma seemed taken aback by my abrupt request, but nodded in submission. On the train heading to Emma's apartment, I talked to her about various things. The first topic that, why did you think the allowance was $13? Emma explained that she had separate accounts, one for her earnings from work, which she used for daily expenses, and another for the allowance I sent her, which she considered as savings. With the start of the new semester, she had to buy textbooks and other necessities, which depleted her savings account. When she checked it recently, she found it only had $78 left. Although Emma felt that the balance was low, she couldn't recall touching the account for the past 6 months. While she knew I was sending her money, she never asked for a specific amount. So, when she saw $78, she assumed it was the total allowance for 6 months, which averaged out to $13 per month. Didn't you think it was too little? I asked.
I did, but I thought you were going through a tough time too.
Emma replied. Oh, come on, don't be silly. Do you think I'm not making any money? Don't underestimate me, I joked, trying to lighten the mood. Emma finally seemed to relax a bit, but her expression quickly darkened again. And it was no wonder. If Emma hadn't touched her allowance at all, it meant that someone had been withdrawing money from her account without her knowledge. The most suspicious person in this scenario was Jason, since he had frequently visited her apartment. Emma seemed unwilling to admit it. I didn't want to believe that the charming young man, let alone Emma's boyfriend, could be involved in stealing money. With a racing heart, I eagerly waited for the train to reach the nearest station. As soon as we arrived at Emma's apartment, we grabbed her cash card and hurried to the nearest ATM. The bank would close in the evening, and the sun was already setting, so time was of the essence. We slid the bank book into the ATM machine and waited for the transaction to be recorded, As we looked at the numbers printed on the bank book that was spit out, we both held our breath. $130 was indeed deposited every month, but there were signs of frequent withdrawals. Emma turned pale and whispered,
Why?
I took Emma to a cafe since she looked like she might collapse at any moment, and decided to delve deeper into the situation. Primarily, I wanted to understand how she managed her bank book. Emma mentioned that she kept her cash card in a drawer with a lock on her desk. However, since the key was in a different drawer, it was entirely possible to access it if someone entered the house. The only person who could rummage through the room in Emma's absence was her boyfriend, Jason, who had a spare key. Furthermore, the PIN was the same as Emma's usual card, suggesting it might have been observed when she withdrew money. Perhaps she was also careless when she opened the account. I'm sorry. I didn't think about it carefully enough. I never imagined it would be used by someone else. I apologized.
You don't have to apologize, Mom. It's my fault for not being vigilant enough with the management.
Emma replied. Both of us lowered our heads. But, I began. The worst offender is the person who unlawfully used someone else's money. I continued.
Yeah.
Emma's reply lacked energy. It was understandable. To be betrayed in this manner by the person she trusted the most. Seeing my daughter disheartened pained my heart. I'll handle this matter, I found myself saying.
Huh?
Emma was taken aback. I know you might not want to deal with it, but this is a serious crime. We need to gather evidence and report it to the police. I explained.
What? Police?
Emma's voice trembled with agitation. Yes, it's that serious. Don't worry. I'll take care of it. It's to ensure you can continue your university life without worries, okay? I reassured. Emma hesitated, then nodded slightly. Sometime later, I visited a certain detective agency. I had relied on them during the investigation of my husband's infidelity. I need you to investigate my daughter's boyfriend. His name is Jason, a sophomore in the economics department at the same university as my daughter. He might have been using the allowance I sent to my daughter without permission. I explained, showing them the photos Emma had sent me. They readily accepted the case. The fee was not trivial, but it was all for the sake of clarifying the truth, for Emma's sake. While waiting for the investigation, at Emma's anxious suggestion, she started commuting to school from my house. The commute took over an hour each way, so it seemed like a hassle, but Emma visibly relaxed when I returned home. Once, she even made bean soup as a side dish for dinner.
I've gotten good at bean soup,
she said one day. And indeed, the bean soup she made were rich and delicious. As my heart ached, knowing she must have been making them every day, Emma winked confidently at me. And then, a month later, the results of the investigation came in. It seemed undeniable that Jason had been withdrawing money from Emma's account. According to the information gathered, Jason's lifestyle suddenly improved after he started dating Emma, as testified by his friends. Surprisingly, Jason's wrongdoing didn't end there. He appeared to be involved with multiple other women. As I was left speechless, several photos were handed to me. Photos of Jason arm in arm with different women, happily dining at restaurants, peering into arcades together, and strolling through the hotel district. In each photo, the same man with distinctive freckles on his face appeared, unmistakably Jason. The detective solemnly informed me.
It seems Jason has been stealing your daughter's allowance to maintain a lavish lifestyle not only for his friends but also for multiple other girlfriends.
I thanked the detective profusely and bowed deeply. Now, it was time to launch our counterattack. First, I filed a police report. Then, I sent written statements to Jason's parents, his university, and all the girlfriends he was involved with, detailing his actions. Initially, Jason seemed defiant, but after being confronted by multiple girlfriends, he finally confessed to his crimes. All the girlfriends, including Emma, naturally cut ties with Jason. Subsequently, Jason faced expulsion from his university due to the police involvement and was taken back home by his parents. Fortunately, his parents were sensible people who came to our house once with a gift to apologize. For the stolen money, his parents agreed to repay it for the time being. Jason's father even went as far as to kneel down and apologize, saying,
"I'll make sure my idiot son pays it back even if it costs his life."
According to hearsay Emma heard, Jason was working multiple jobs to repay his parents. As things settled down, it was just the beginning of spring. To celebrate cutting ties with the bad influence and Emma's spring break, we went on a trip for the first time in a year. Since then, Emma seemed to have gotten her life back on track, with her skin glowing and her body looking healthier. We soaked in warm baths together, indulged in delicious hotel meals, and watched TV. It felt like we were finally having some peaceful time after a long while.
Mom.
Emma spoke up from her bed just before sleep. "What is it?" I asked.
Didn't Dad's wastefulness and infidelity lead to your divorce?
She asked. Emma's words made me snap back to reality. My ex-husband was like Jason and spent money recklessly just to impress others. Because of that, he stopped providing for the household, and on top of that, he cheated on me, which led to me serving him with divorce papers.
We seem to have chosen similar kinds of men, haven't we?
Emma said with a slightly sad smile. "Yeah, we'll have to be more careful from now on," I replied with a deliberately bright tone, feeling a bit uneasy.
Come to think of it, Mom, you seem to be in high spirits lately. Do you have a boyfriend or something?
Emma asked. "No way. I don't have a boyfriend yet," I replied.
Could it be that you're about to get one?
She teased. I haven't told Emma yet that I've been getting along quite well with the investigator assigned to the case ever since the incident. Yet, she seems to have noticed. Is it a woman's intuition at work, or perhaps it's because we've been together for so long as mother and daughter?
Hey, Mom, what's up? Are you okay this time?
Emma pokes me, laughing. I think so. He seems responsible and dependable, unlike your father. I reply, a bit flustered.
Oh, come on, Mom. You better be careful this time. It wouldn't be funny if you ended up like me next.
Emma chuckles. Right. I'll be careful, I said, trying to sound composed, and exchanged a smile with Emma.